I have two specific questions for you, but I was curious because I looked all over on X today and I didn't see anybody who won the $1 million prize. Was
yes.
that given out today?
Well, let's see. We are going to give it out tonight, in fact. So let's... should we go ahead and do it? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Good timing. All right. Judy Kimura. Yeah. Judy has no idea, by the way. She's just loading now. So. Well, I think Judy's on her way here. Like I said, Judy had learned when you learned. All right. Oh, thank you. All right. Woo. I mean, we're trying to get attention for this very important petition to support the Constitution, and it's like if we we need the right to free speech, we need the right to bear arms. Otherwise, there is no right to free speech, and. And it's people sort of wonder why what's up with the $1 million prizes? I'm like, well, we needed to get the legacy media to talk about it, and I just knew that they would be like complaining like hell about it. That like for sure complaining on every newspaper and every TV station are complaining like crazy, and that's like great. That's going to get the word out. Most welcome. Yes. Hi, Caden and Kaylee. Hi. All right. So yeah, so we're going to be giving out $1 million every day through November 5th, and all you have to do is sign the petition in support of the First and Second Amendment. That's it. You don't even have to vote. It'd be nice if you voted, but you don't have to. And that to support basically sign something you already believe in, and you get a chance to win $1 million every day from now through the election. Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Musk. It's an honor to meet you. So my question is this, and I ask this as a first-time voter. As we know, Trump did not and has not accepted the results of the 2020 election, one which has been called the most secure in the nation's history by the former president's own Department of Homeland Security. Similarly, I saw the violent disruption of the electoral vote count on the news during January 6th. And I ask this as a first-time voter who wants to discern the truth.
Sure.
What would you say to comfort the concerns of young voters like me who are worried that voting for a second Trump presidency will lead to Democratic backsliding?
Well, I think that's a fair question, honestly. I think it is a fair question. I mean, the thing is that, like, I want to frame this correctly, and obviously anything I say, the legacy media is going to take a soundbite out of what I say and misconstrue what I'm saying, which is something they've done with President Trump many times. It is very important, if you've heard something bad about President Trump, listen to his whole speech. That's actually very important, And, on January 6th, I mean, his statements on that day, he told people to back down. I mean, he said, do not do violence. And then people were like saying, well, that's actually some sort of dog whistle about doing violence. I'm like, what are you supposed to say? He did actually tell people to not be violent. He recommended that the National Guard be deployed. Nancy Pelosi said no. So he didn't call for any violence, exactly. And if you look at, while it obviously, I think it was, the level of disruption was high, and I don't applaud any kind of damage to public property, of course. But it's, the media tries to characterize January 6th as some sort of violent insurrection, which is simply not the case. I mean, that is false. So, I would take, I think probably what I think is the reasonable middle ground, which is I disagree with the level of protest, but it was in no way a violent insurrection. So, that there's got to be a lot of guns for there to be a violent insurrection. And there were a lot of strange things in terms of voting irregularities that are hard to explain. So, it's yeah. I mean, there were things that are statistically unlikely. Let me put it that way, and so it's not as though the January 6th protesters their protests had no merit. They had some merit. I disagree with the magnitude of what they did, but but it's not as though there were no issues. There were issues. And we have this weird situation in America where it is almost impossible to prove fraud because if you've got no voter ID and mail-in ballots, how do you prove fraud? And and it does seem more than a little odd that we don't have voter ID. And then you look at, say, states like California, which is supermajority Democrat, they passed a law banning voter ID in any election whatsoever. Now, how is that supporting democracy? That's not supporting democracy. I mean, that's insane. Almost every country on earth has voter ID requirements, but we don't. Why? And why do the same people that demanded vaccine IDs for you to do anything are the same ones who say no ID for voting? Something doesn't add up. It doesn't add up, you know? So I actually think, I mean, my firm opinion is that those who say Trump is a threat to democracy are themselves the threat to democracy.
Make some noise! Yeah! I'll tell you what, that was awesome. Conspiracy was theory, and now it's the truth.
I mean, honestly, at this point, we're running out of conspiracy theories because there's so many of them have come true.
Right.
That we actually need. Can someone please come up with some new conspiracies?
That the government's here to help.
The government's. I mean, even the frogs might be real. You know, the frog situation might be real. I don't know.
Right. You know, the conspiracy.
the frog
we're the government. We're here to help. You
yeah.
You probably heard that.
Right.
Well, Elon, God bless you. It's very nice to meet you.
God bless you too.
My name's Andrew Mariski, a Lancaster, PA native.
Yeah.
I'm a small business owner of a barber shop 10 minutes down the street.
Great.
Called Legacy Barbers. Love to cut your hair sometime if you will.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you a question and also encourage you with these few words. Augustine, who was a theologian and a philosopher, said, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." And 2 Chronicles 7, verse 14 says, "If my people who are called by my name should humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land." So I want to encourage you with that, brother.
Yeah. Those are great words. Great words.
Amen.
Amen.
And Elon, I'll tell you what, been watching you now for a while, hearing the stuff you say. We need more men like you in this country that are not afraid to stand up to the media legacy.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to stand up against people who think we're toxic masculinity. We need more men.
Yeah, you know, I've got a great counter-argument for toxic masculinity, which is, if masculinity is so toxic, how come the kids that are messed up don't have dads? Riddle me that.
And something that you said earlier, and amen to that.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to be a dad February 3rd.
Great, congratulations.
I'm having a baby. Thank you, Lord. But the tweet that you had not too long ago, it said, "And no one is even trying to assassinate Biden or Kamala."
Yeah, because it's pointless.
Nobody
would bother assassinating a puppet.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when are people going to start seeing that our country is not, when they keep saying democracy, it's a constitutional republic? Would you please make sure, if you don't mind, to keep reminding people that we are a republic. We're free. We're free because of Christ Jesus, and we're free because of the men and women who died and shed blood for this country.
That's absolutely, yes. Amen, brother. You're right. I mean, a lot of people died to make this country what it is today. A lot of people died. Absolutely, amen. And man, people take it for granted, you know? So, yeah. Well, America PAC is kind of the anti-Soros PAC, you know? Something's got to be done about it. So, it's like, you know, I don't know what's up with that guy, but honestly, like, putting DAs in, like, it's like the Joker's in charge, you know? Yeah. Like, electing DAs that don't prosecute crime is insane. That's like literally like Batman Dark Knight. I mean, like, you know, lock up the citizens and free the criminals. It's insane. It's happening. Yeah. I mean, like, what? This is total madness. So we need to stop that. Yeah. So.
Make America great again.
Yeah. Well, I think America is great, but we want to be greater. We want to do awesome things. We want to do, and you want to look forward to the future and be inspired and excited about the future. You know, that's what makes life worth living. Yeah. All right.
Have you ever looked into the sport of arm wrestling?
Oh yeah, arm wrestling. I have looked at, not in depth, but I have looked into it. And for a while there, I did like actually read up on it, and actually various techniques for how to win at arm wrestling, which is like a lot of it is, you know, get your angles to, yeah, get your whole body into it and get your angles. So you can actually, like, if you know the techniques in arm wrestling and somebody doesn't, you can actually win against somebody much bigger. Yeah. Well, yeah. No. No. I mean, I would challenge Biden, but that would be ridiculous. You know, that'd be so unfair. So.
Thank you.
He can use two. What if he could use his two hands? Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, make arm wrestling great again. Absolutely. God bless. All right.
Hi, Elon. My name is Molly. I just want to thank you for spending so much time in Pennsylvania. I think what you're doing is amazing and it's making a real impact. So God bless you.
Thank you.
And I think
God
you're a
bless you
national
too.
treasure.
Thank you.
My main concern is with the national debt. And I know you talked a lot about reducing the spending side, but I was wondering what kind of Trump policies and industries you think will help grow the revenue side. And along those lines, do you have any plans to bring more Tesla manufacturing back to the U.S.?
Well, Tesla actually is a massive manufacturer in the U.S. In fact, the biggest factory that's been built in recent years is the Tesla factory in Texas. So that's, yeah, and then there's another big factory in Nevada. So there's Gig in Nevada, and maybe someday Gig at Pennsylvania. That would be super cool. I'm a huge believer in manufacturing. I love manufacturing. I like making things. I've spent a lot of time in the factory, walking the floor. I lived in the factory for a while. Literally lived in the factory. It was kind of like Vegas, actually, because I didn't even see the outside. But the lights were always on. But we had some tough times at Tesla. It's really difficult to make any kind of manufacturing company work. And, you know, yeah, Tesla's actually also the biggest manufacturing employer in California still. But the state is not super grateful. So, but yeah, I'm a big. So we do a ton of manufacturing in the U.S. and we keep investing and increasing our manufacturing activity in the U.S. And SpaceX also is a massive manufacturer. You know, SpaceX is the biggest manufacturer of rockets and satellites in the world. And yeah, and that's all in the U.S. So SpaceX manufacturing is all in the U.S. and Tesla has massive amounts of manufacturing in the U.S., like giant factories. So I'm a big believer in manufacturing. I mean, I do think reform of the tax code would make sense because it's extremely complicated and there are too many loopholes. You know, I'm often pitched on these loopholes. That's how I know they exist. And I'm like, that sounds pretty shady. I don't think we should do that. They're like, well, lots of other people are getting away with it. Well, like, yeah, but I still don't think we should do it. Yeah, for what it's worth, I'm the largest individual taxpayer in history. So I paid $10 billion in tax, over $10 billion in tax. You're welcome. Like I sort of thought maybe the IRS would, like, you know, send me like a little trophy or something. You know, yeah, like one of those, like, doesn't have to be expensive. It could be like, you know, one of those like things you get for when kids win a karate competition, like little plastic gold trophy or something like that, or a cookie or something. But I didn't get anything. It's like, you know, but I was happy to pay the taxes. I don't mind, you know. Yeah, it's a good week this week, yeah. Stock market's a wild sort of roller coaster. You know, I think Warren Buffett's got a lot of good sayings, actually, but one of his sayings, I believe, is, like, you know, having a publicly traded company is like having someone stand outside your house and yell house prices all day, and it's still the same house. And you're like, why is this person yelling house prices at me all day long? And that's what it's like being in a publicly traded company. They just yell stock prices at you all day long. And it's like, well, it's actually still pretty much the same company as yesterday. So it's kind of weird being in a publicly traded situation. But anyway, I think we should simplify the tax code, get rid of a lot of exceptions and loopholes, and make it easy to fill out taxes. It shouldn't be this like extremely complicated thing. Yeah. But overall, I think if we have less federal spending, then there's less taxation, and so we have to reduce federal spending. There's no way to make up for it other than reducing the federal spending. And as I mentioned earlier, like a very important point that I think is important for people to understand is that all federal spending is taxation, because what the federal government doesn't receive in direct revenue, they make up for in inflation. They just print money. So all federal spending is taxation. Very important principle. Very few people seem to, even like, somebody's like spend their life in economics, I'll mention to them, hey, all federal spending is taxation. They're like, first they'll argue with me, and then they will agree. It is. Because it is either direct tax revenue or it is inflation. All federal spending is taxation. So we must reduce federal spending or we will go bankrupt as a country. So, all right?
Hey, Elon. I'm Chadwick from Westchester, Pennsylvania. I met you last week at Harrisburg, and since then I've been prouder than ever to wear my MAGA hat around.
Cool.
You've really inspired me to wear it more and more.
Right.
And since then I've had my car slashed with a key, which
Really?
is fine. Yeah, it's fine. Trump got hit with a bullet in the air, and look at him, he's doing good. So, yeah, somebody chased me around with a shopping cart one time too as well. But yeah, that happens. That's a part of Westchester, PA.
Well, honestly, I mean, at this point, it's like flying the rebel flag, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for real. MAGA.
It's an adventure. Yeah, I've had some people get mad at me. Yeah, like big time.
I do have a question this time, though. I met somebody on X. I do podcasting, and I met somebody on X directly through the platform. I would call him a friend. His name is Derek, and he has something called Spina Bifida.
Yeah.
It is Spina Bifida month right now, so Spina Bifida Awareness Month. I wanted to put the awareness out there is that it's a spinal. He's born with some spinal kind of like issues, and he's never been able to walk. And
Really? Never? Wow.
I guess not, from what I learned. And
Yeah.
he hasn't been able to walk like his whole life. So my question is, like, for the disabled community and for people like him, will things like Neuralink help? And also, what will the Trump administration be doing for people who are disabled to help them? Anything?
Well, yeah. So I think there actually are a lot of things that, like medical devices and drugs that could be approved that are sort of stuck in regulatory molasses. Like they're just, it's like trying to get anything new approved is like running in molasses with lead shoes. It's really slow. So, a good friend of mine was telling me how his mom was diagnosed with brain cancer, and the doctor said, like, well, that's pretty much it's game over, And then he talked to, but he's a very enterprising guy, so he didn't take that for an answer. And he asked every smart person he knew, is there anything that could help cure brain cancer? It turns out there's this drug called Wellirig that was in trials at Harvard, I believe, and it cured his mom's brain cancer. So, I'm like, well, like how many Wellirigs are there out there? Maybe there's a whole bunch of them, and devices and everything, and we should, like I said earlier, it's like we need to expedite approval of drugs, make sure people, that people are properly informed of the pros and the cons, and then there also needs to be some after approval follow-up to say, like, was something approved that shouldn't have been approved, or whether there need to be additional warnings. It's pretty common. It's common sense, I think. But like when you're dealing with the government, like common sense doesn't make sense. Like, common sense just bounces off the government like water off a duck's back. I mean, it's like arguing with the DMV. It's impossible. They did put the COVID vaccine quick. Yeah, that was weird, and they made everyone take it, which is messed up. So I don't think people should be forced to take vaccine unless that against their will.
Hi, Elon. My name is Alex Gamble from Lebanon County. I first want to thank you sincerely for what you're doing. I think you're an American patriot.
Thank you.
I really do.
I love America. I really do. I mean, I listen. I love America, and like sometimes people say, well, like that's just jingoistic propaganda. I'm like, I don't care. I love the jingoistic propaganda. It's awesome. You know, it's like God bless America. It's amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
With the recent news from Lancaster County discovering 2,500 potentially fraudulent voter registration forms, what's your opinion on mail-in ballots and if we should get rid of them in the future?
Yes.
I also want
We should get rid of them in the future. I mean, like, mail-in ballots are a strange anomaly that got popularized during COVID, but really, like, you have an obvious recipe for fraud and an inability to prove fraud if you've got no ID, no voter ID, and you've got mail-in ballots.
Right.
Like, you can't even like many years ago, a friend of mine was telling me how his dad actually helped improve democracy in Mexico, and it was by organizing a whole bunch of citizens to just stand outside the polling stations or the voting stations with a counter, just to count the number of people that went in. Because obviously, if you have more votes than people, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it turned out they had a lot more votes than people. They're like, oh, this is a little strange. So anyway, that actually helped fix the situation in Mexico big time. Yeah. But if you've got mail-in ballots, you can't count. There's like you don't even know what's going on.
I also wanted to ask you a favor. My son is named Elon.
Really?
We
Okay.
named him after you.
Wow, thanks.
He's 3. You're an inspiration, and I was hoping to get an autograph from you to give to him when he's older.
Well,
just to further
I can't say no to that. I mean, from one Elon to another, you know. Actually, you know, I was named after my American great-grandfather. I guess so. I'm like kind of the opposite of Obama. I'm from Africa, named after an American. So. But yeah, John Elon Haldeman was my great-grandfather, and I was named after his middle name. So I think he was like from Minnesota, I believe. So, yeah.
Hey, Elon.
Yeah.
My name is Jennifer Lucas. As you can tell, I do not have a Pennsylvania accent. But I do live here. I'm voting legally, I promise.
Sure, I believe you.
I'm from southern West Virginia.
Okay.
And honestly, I've had a lot of questions on my mind, from education to drug epidemic. It's hit really hard. But one thing that I would really like to ask you about right now is lobbyists. If I buy a vote, I go to jail. They buy votes on the voting floor in D.C., and that's okay.
Right.
That is affecting our voice as American citizens. So what can we do to lobbyists in D.C. so we can take our power back?
America PAC? Yeah, I mean, you know, so I was actually part of making a movie called Thank You for Smoking. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie, but it's a movie about political corruption and about lobbyists and political corruption. It's worth watching Thank You for Smoking. And, you know, I'm actually the pilot in the movie in that plane. So it's a very small role. But that movie explores the corruption that exists in D.C. due to all the lobbying that takes place. And the legislation is primarily written by lobbyists, in fact. And then, you know, Congress basically rubber stamps what lobbyists write. I think we probably do need to take a look at what rules make sense. Because obviously the point of the elected legislators is to legislate in the interest of the people. Right. And so if there's legislation happening, which is often the case, that is not in the interest of the people, something's wrong. So, and you do get these like regulatory capture situations where the companies in an industry end up controlling the regulators and preventing new entrants from coming into a market, making it difficult, you know, for new companies to come in. Anyway, I wanted to make that movie for a reason, which is to highlight that there is a lot of corruption in DC, and I'd like to have less of it, at least. And it's tough. And, you know, this is also why I think the big government machine is so against Trump, because he's not beholden to all of these interests, you know? So he's not captured, essentially. He's not a puppet. So the big government machine is very worried about electing someone who's not a puppet. So yeah, I mean, I certainly advocate for, you know, better rules that limit the power of companies to lobby in D.C. or at the state level, for that matter. Yeah, I mean, like for Mars, like people sometimes ask me, like, well, what kind of system of governance do I think makes sense for Mars? And I'm like, well, that's going to be up to the Martians, you know. But I would recommend direct democracy, not representative democracy, where the people vote directly. And you know, in the past, before you had like the internet and electronics, you had to have representative democracy because you had to, just like with the legacy media, you had to collect people's opinion by mail or literally by voice or by letters, written with a quill on, you know, and a scroll type of thing, you know, like slow. So you had to have representative democracy. You couldn't have direct democracy. But my recommendation for Mars would be that the people vote directly for anything, and that any given piece of legislation must be short enough to understand. So, like, if it's, you know, not more than 1,000 words, maybe 300, the longer the legislation is, the worse it gets. And we've got legislation that's longer than Lord of the Rings. And, like, nobody's read it, you know.
And really quick, I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you're doing. I see you, and I see your heart, and I know that you love humanity, not just America.
I do.
Everything that you do, it shows you care for everyone deeply. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have a lot of ideas, and if you want to hear them sometime, we can sit down for dinner.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Hello, Elon. My name is Stephen Marshall, so I live in Lancaster County. It's nice to meet you. You once said in a job interview that when asked what is your biggest weakness, you said honesty, which I find really interesting. And the guy said, well, that's not a weakness. And what I find fascinating is the way you stand up to anybody and speak your mind. And my question is, there's a cost to telling the truth. There's a cost to being honest.
Yes.
And you're not afraid to pay that
Well,
price.
hopefully it's not, like, fatal, you know.
Yeah, and I think that I'm wondering like where that came from in your life, because you know you're an amazing inspiration with everything.
Yeah, I can totally tell you. So, like, it's. I mean, first of all, you know, like I think I aspire to be honest, but I'm also sometimes wrong. So obviously, you know, can be right all the time. So, and I do believe in like, you know, one should stand to be corrected, and. The reason I believe in sort of truth and honesty is because I'm trying to understand the universe. I'm trying to understand reality. You know, we're trying to understand like what's the meaning of life. Like, what are we here for? Like, what's going on? And if you don't aspire to truth, if you're not like rigorous about truth and honesty, then you're obviously going to live in a deluded world. You won't understand the nature of reality. You won't understand. So, I'm just curious, and I want to understand the nature of reality. So, and that's requires rigorous adherence to the truth.
Also add, thank you. What I find fascinating too is like, you know, for you to stand up and speak the truth about what you feel about Trump, there's so many celebrities that the other side has. And
yeah, that's weird that there's so many celebrities, you know? I'm like what are they, what's up with that? Yeah, exactly.
You're the only guy with a serious amount of influence that's able to really stand up for Trump, and I really think that, and I know people that are like on the fence that are going to Trump because of you. So I think
Great.
you are making a massive difference in this election, like you single-handedly, and that's an amazing legacy amongst all the other things that you do. So thank you.
Well, I'm trying my best to you know, I'm trying to make as big a difference as possible, and yeah, I mean. I do think like we're at a, like I said, a fork in the road of destiny, where you know, like it's not clear to me that there will be elections after this if Trump is not elected, you know. So there's basically, in my opinion, there's massive voter importation to swing states that is happening right now. If you look at the actual numbers, as reported by the Democrat administration. There are triple-digit increases in the number of illegals in each swing state. It's 240% was the number I saw in Pennsylvania in 3 years. And like that's, you know, if the margin of victory is like, was 80,000 votes last time, well, what happens if you bring in like 300,000 illegals who are beholden to the Democrat machine and get a whole bunch of handouts? And even though they may socially not be in agreement with the Democrats, their first order priority is bringing friends and family into the country, which will be supported by the Democrats, but not by the Republicans. So it's voter importation is what's going on. And it doesn't take much to have the swing states be a permanent deep blue. That's what happened in California. So, like I love Reagan, but he did sign in 1986 an amnesty, that, you know, sort of a legal alien amnesty, that thereafter California, which had been red or a swing state, but primarily red, went blue and then deep blue. And now California passed a law banning voter ID in any election whatsoever, even in a town council. That's what they will do to the whole country. The playbook is obvious because we can just look at what they did in California. They're going to do the same thing in Pennsylvania, same thing in the whole rest of the country, if they can. And Trump is the only chance to have that not be the case. And I'll tell you, it's because people are like, I think it's going to be worse in California, because the one thing that keeps California from being even more crazy than it currently is that people can move to other states and still be in America. But what if you can't move to any other states? It's going to be way worse in California. So it's profound.
What's your favorite baseball team?
Yankees. Okay, listen. I like the name, okay? It's a great name. Sorry. What have I done?
Hi, Elon. My name is David, and I am an founder of an e-commerce company here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I appreciate the one thing that you're saying about being bullying the American citizens instead of enforcing our border. We're doing that. And I found one problem being a business owner is I have been the subject of recent harassment by the IRS, and I find that being a huge discouragement to entrepreneurship, which is the American backbone.
Sure.
And I wanted to know what would be one of the number one things you would recommend to the Trump administration about encouraging entrepreneurship and getting young people especially encouraged into starting small businesses to keep our economy flourishing and to keep creating wonderful things like you have done.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really, I think, you know, if we can just get the government off people's backs, then you can get a tremendous amount done. And, you know, it's like just, we're over-regulating 6 ways to Sunday, as you've experienced yourself. And then even when there's like a little bit of success, then the government comes along and takes the money. So it's crazy, you know. So just if the founders of the country could see like where we are now, it'd blow their mind. You know, like there was a revolt against the British. I think it was like a 2% tax on tea, like say a 3% tax on tea. They were like, no way. And now it's like 40%. I mean, it's just like there's new taxes every day. And there's a lot of hidden taxes that you experience as a small business owner that people don't even realize exist. You know, you sort of come to realize that because the IRS comes after you, but there's a ton of taxes they try to sort of mask from the consumers. So we just need smaller government and allow people to produce useful goods and services for their fellow human beings. Yeah, it's straightforward.
Hi, Elon. My name's Will King. It's nice to meet you. Welcome to Lancaster.
Thank you.
I'm a young mechanical engineer. I'm excited to work on new problems. One of my dreams would be to work for one of your companies, so we'll see where that goes. But the question I have is, what are your thoughts on tariffs, and how do you see tariffs impacting consumer spending or increasing inflation? And what problems need to be solved for U.S. production to reach a scale and efficiency that would match current outsourced production? Like, obviously, it's not a first principles problem. We can do it, but what needs to happen in order for that to?
Well, what are your thoughts on the subject?
So I think what you were touching on before, a lot of government regulation and taxes. Well, taxes, I don't know where we need to go with that. But I think I love your philosophy of surges in employment and going hardcore. I was reading your autobiography the other, or not, your biography the other
biography,
day.
yeah. To be clear, it's a pretty good biography, but it's not actually what I would have written.
Right. But what really stood out to me, I was reading about how you wanted to move the servers from Twitter up to, is it in Oregon? And
actually there were 3 data centers, but only 2 were needed.
Right.
And I was being told it would take like 9 months to.
Right. And you showed up with your guys, and you were like, "Hey, let's just do this overnight, like Christmas." So I think
Christmas Eve,
cutting down some of those regulations and all this crazy stuff that extends the timeline for a bunch of stuff would really help, and that work ethic. I agree with your 80-hour work week principle and the hardcore.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone, but I think the principle is really cool, and I think we should bring that culture and that mindset down to the 40-hour work week or the 50. I do 50, but work-life balance potentially. But I love where you're taking your companies, and it's really cool to see.
Well, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Elon. Nice to see you here tonight. So recently, I was reading an article on Medium where an Italian researcher named Andrea Rossi was able to demonstrate a new technology that he invented that was able to extend the range of an electric vehicle. It was technically like a quadricycle, so a very low-power electric vehicle by 4 times. And after the full test, it had actually increased the battery life of the electric vehicle. And obviously, it's only been demonstrated once. We don't know if this technology could be replicated, but if it was able to be replicated, would you be interested in implementing this kind of technology into your Tesla vehicles and even possibly the Starship?
Well, I wish such a thing were real, but I do not think that such a thing is real. That there is, every industry has a certain amount of BS, but the battery industry, I think, is a candidate for industry with the most amount of BS. So it's just, electrochemistry is very difficult. In fact, one of the ways that I will test the intelligence of an AI system is ask it battery electrochemistry questions and rocket questions, and usually comes back with terrible answers. So it's extremely difficult to increase the range, but the range is already sufficient to fully electrify everything on Earth. So, Teslas have over 300 miles of range, and some of them have like 400 miles of range. We could actually make it go further. It's just that's like an unnecessary amount of battery for most people, because the amount of range that you need in a battery is about the same amount of range that your bladder has, essentially. So if you start a trip at, say, 9 a.m., around noon, you want to probably hit the restroom, take a break, have a bite to eat, and so you drive for 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, and then charge the car. As long as the car is charged by the time you come back from the bathroom and had lunch or whatever, then long-distance trips are no problem. So we're already there at this point. So, yeah, but there is no magical breakthrough.
Would you also be willing, if other technologies are discovered over the next few years into the near future, would you also be willing that theoretically could revolutionize electrical vehicles, space travel, exotic propulsion, exotic energy generation techniques? Are you interested in researching those and potentially funding them and contributing to this kind of research? I do think there is a lot of technology out there that is not really mainstream, that it has potential. Although it's in a very infantile stage, I think there is potential.
Both Tesla and SpaceX are desperately interested in anything that works. We're not barring the door. We're like, please, if you got something that works, tell us about it. Unfortunately, it's rarely the case that it actually works, is the issue. So, for a while there, Tesla, I guess we maybe still do, we'd rate any given, proposed new technology out of 10, where 10 is incredible, and, 1 is total nonsense, and really nothing got above a 4. So it's just very difficult to do. But and I would encourage anyone to say, prove me wrong. Please do that. I would like to be proven wrong. That would be awesome. Yeah, but just compete with Tesla. That sounds like a great. If there's some technology that has much greater range, I would strongly recommend they just kick our ass. Yeah.
Elon, do you believe that Jesus, the Christ, is a real person who was crucified and died and is risen, and that God is Jesus?
What do you mean by a real person?
That he was alive back 2,000 years ago and he was the guy who was crucified.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I think I do think that's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you get into like these, critical debates of the Trinity, but I thought, but yeah, I think it's real. So.
Hi, Elon. That feels very weird to say, but.
Hi.
My name is Chris Michelson. I'm a Lancaster County resident. We're really happy to have you here. Let's go, baby. Thank you, everybody. Look, I, like many of us here, feel that the very construct, the Constitution of our country, is at stake during this election.
I agree.
I'm a firm believer that those who can should, and I just want to say thank you for being one of the very few powerful members outside of the construct who have the balls to stand up here every day and do what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there's a macho man's here. Look, President Trump has announced that he will appoint you as the head of the Efficiency Commission, right?
Right.
That's obviously a perfect spot for you, given your historical success running lean and exceptionally profitable businesses. One of my big concerns that extends beyond the disarray of our financial constitution here is the technology attacks that have happened on our country. 2021, the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack.
Yeah.
2021, Robinhood, 7 million users' data stolen, their money held for ransom. 2023, T-Mobile goes down overnight. Airport attacks, airline attacks. Have you spoken to Trump at all regarding your expertise around cybersecurity? Are you going to have any involvement there? If not, do you know who is, and do you trust them? And I have one more question.
Well, I certainly don't have all the answers here, and I don't want to tempt fate, but like nobody has successfully hacked SpaceX or Starlink. Every day there are thousands of attempts to hack Starlink, and no one has succeeded. Again, I don't want to tempt fate here, so this is not a tempt. I'm not saying to hacker groups out there, please hack Starlink. Like, please don't hack Starlink. But thus far, there have been many attempts by individuals and state actors to hack into Starlink, and none of them have been successful. So track record thus far is pretty good. No one has successfully hacked into, so far so good. Don't want to be complacent or anything. No one has hacked into the Tesla mothership, like the Tesla core database. Many people have tried to hack into the Tesla core database. Zero successes. Yeah, I can certainly say, like, now government computers are not super secure because it's the government, So it's like if you say, like, what is an easy thing to hack? I say, well, government computers are an easy thing to hack. So it's not good. No, I agree. That's why I'm like, as a hardcore technology guy, I'm saying we should not have voting machines. We should not have computers because they're too subject to being hacked and it's like they're subject to being hacked by, and the people protecting these machines don't understand technology, and they could easily be bamboozled. So even with the best of intentions. But it's really hard to bamboozle paper ballots in person with ID, which is obviously how it should be.
We've talked about baseball a couple of times tonight. My brother's handicapped. Ryan, I love you. I'm sorry that you couldn't be here tonight. He's a White Sox fan, and he just wants to know if you would consider buying them and turning them into a reputable business. Thank you.
Well, I'm a technology guy, so I'm just, I got to pick my battles here. So I just try to make technologies that people find useful. So.
Thank you, Elon. Thank you.
All right.
My name is Vladimir. I'm an entrepreneur from Reading, Pennsylvania. I came all the way here to see you because I'm not sure if you're going to make it to Reading, Pennsylvania. I couldn't wait. Thank you so much for your contributions to the world. Thank you for Tesla, Neuralink, SpaceX, X. Everything that you're doing is incredible. And thank you for stepping up with your leadership to once again try to take our country back.
Thank you. It's kind of your say.
My question to you is regarding artificial intelligence, probably our greatest invention. Hopefully not our last invention.
Yeah.
You were really advocating for basically regulating the advances that we're making on artificial intelligence. How long do you think it would be before we actually reach AGI, or artificial general intelligence and artificial superintelligence? And are you still up for regulating this amazing invention that we've summoned here?
Yes. I mean, I do think there should be some regulatory oversight for AI. So Yeah, I mean, I kind of view regulators as kind of like the referees in a sports game. You know, whether it's baseball, basketball, any given sport, all the teams want to have referees, so that the teams don't break the rules and there's fair play. So I think there is sort of a right number of regulators for any given industry, but there shouldn't be too many or too few. Now, there's basically no regulators in AI right now, so it's like having a game with no referees. That's subject to something bad happening. So my recommendation would be to have an AI regulatory agency at the federal level. It should be, not heavy-handed. But there shouldn't be nothing. In contrast, in other industries where there's excess regulation, because these regulatory agencies have just sort of grown over time to the point where there are too many referees on the field. I think the sports analogy makes a lot of sense. Like, you want to have enough referees to have a fair game, but not so many referees that people can't throw a pass on the football field without hitting a ref. That's the situation we got right now. It's like you're trying to run downfield, bam, you just bumping into refs everywhere. So we got to take some corrective action there. So thank you.
Whew. All right, Elon Musk, it's a pleasure to meet you. This should be sponsored by Dr. Scholl's. I don't know how your feet are doing it right now. I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. It's an honor to be here with you. I actually have been waiting for almost a decade to talk with you and ask you a few questions.
All right.
First one, I want to just break right into business. A friend of mine is building the world's brightest light in the world, powered completely by renewable and Tesla solar panels, and we want to know if you'll turn it on for us. It's been cleared. It's in Texas. The FAA approved it. Will you turn it on for us?
Possibly.
Okay.
When you say brightest light, like, what do you mean?
Brighter than the Luxor. It'll hit the International Space Station, and you can illuminate it at night.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It can light up the whole Grand Canyon as well. That's what the engineers say.
Okay, that's a hell of a light. Okay.
It is.
Sure.
Tesla solar panels too. So.
Okay, great. That sounds good.
Secondly, we've heard a lot of prayers tonight. I just want to say a quick prayer for you and ask everybody to join me and just put your hands up and let's pray that God protects this man here. He's risking his life, his family, and his future for people here in a country who he believes in. And we believe in you, Elon, and thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. And we ask God that he protects you and keeps you safe in your journey in protecting us and our country.
Thank you.
Okay, so my real question is, you've done a ton of things. You've literally enabled mankind to live amongst the stars.
Well, not yet, but we're
almost.
We're getting there.
Yes, and I want to nerd out with you all day on this. Yeah. The NASA has been, touted that the fuel of the stars is hydrogen. I know, before you kill me, you're not a huge fan of hydrogen, and I understand it has its flaws. But we do have some incredible successes, and my question is for you. If I were able to help you and provide you with the right people and resources, would you be down to basically involve yourself with us and help save our planet?
Well, I do have 17 jobs, and with the Department of Government Efficiency, 18. So I have to be cautious about taking on additional responsibility because it's just physically impossible. But the biggest source of energy by far is the sun. So nothing even comes close to the sun in terms of energy output. The sun converts over 4 million tons of mass to energy per second, and it's been doing that for a very long time, and will do that for many, many billions of years to come. So one of the ways you can think of the progress of any given civilization is on the Kardashev scale. And so just a simple way of thinking about it is you're Kardashev level 1 if you've harnessed all the power of a planet. You're 2 if you've harnessed all the power of a solar system. And you're 3 if you've harnessed the power of a galaxy. We're very far from 3, it's safe to say, but even from 1. So when you think in Kardashev terms, it becomes very obvious that the sun is overwhelmingly the source of energy, and everything else is tiny potatoes. Tiny, tiny, tiny potatoes. But hey, tiny potatoes are fine for now, but the sun is overwhelmingly the big potato, the humongous potato. So it's really harnessing the power of the sun that will lead us to the stars.
Hi, Elon. Dave from Lancaster County. First, thank you so much for all the insight this evening, thought-provoking conversation. 2 questions. One, with slightly more than 9 days until the election, what would you recommend as a 30-second pitch to convince somebody not to believe what they're seeing on CBS, NBC, and ABC?
Oh, I've got a great solution for that, which is send them links to videos and information on the X platform. So if they say that, Trump loves Nazis, for example, like, well, actually, here's the whole speech where he categorically condemns Nazis. And yet the Democrats keep claiming that he loves Nazis, even though he specifically said he condemns them in the strongest possible terms. They still perpetuate the fine people hoax. It's pretty insane. So for any given thing that somebody says, well, Trump is this or that, just send them the actual speech. That's the antidote. Send them what he actually said.
Thank you. And then the second part.
The X platform actually has that. So, that's the best way.
Hey, Elon. John Scott, your old classmate from UPenn, says hi.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for a great earnings call on Wednesday.
You're welcome.
My name is Raphael Aziz. I'm a Coptic Orthodox Christian immigrant from Alexandria, Egypt. I have lived through religious persecution before, and I believe that the liberal and the woke movement is a religious persecution today. It is anti-Christian and quite honestly anti-religion. You have posted on X that unless there is more bravery to stand up for what is fair and right, Christianity will perish.
Yeah.
My question to you, Elon Musk, is very simple. Will you stand with the Coptic Christian community, our brothers and sisters, the Catholic and Christians, and the Protestant evangelicals against the liberal movement that is trying to destroy Christianity and religion in America?
Yeah, I mean, I'm against the woke religion is fundamentally an extinctionist belief system. It's an extinctionist belief system, and I think we want to be expansionists. We want to expand to the stars. We want to grow as a civilization. We don't want to go extinct. And so, yeah, I absolutely support the Coptic Christians and really anyone who's like expansionist, who believes in a future that is better than the past, that in a future where we grow. I massively support that. So, all right.
Hi, Elon. I'm Jeremy, and I'm from Earth. More specifically, Bowmansville.
Yep.
But my question is...
address 1 astronomical unit.
Can you give some insight into your decision-making process and worldview? I mean, I have a lot of respect for what you've been able to accomplish so far, and you have a huge vision for what you want to accomplish yet. And in that way, there's a crossover between the areas that you're a subject expert in and politics. So if you have some insight into how you make decisions in your worldview, then that enables us all to trust you across a larger amount of issues.
Sure. Well, I'm a big believer in physics, which is, like, basically if you, like, I sort of say, like, everything else is a recommendation, pretty much, but physics is the law. Like, if you break physics, the rocket will explode and the car will not work. So you have to adhere to physics in order to make cars that work, and to make rockets that work, in order to make space internet that works. Because if you're wrong, then reality is a very harsh judge. Reality is merciless. If you make a device that doesn't work, that violates physics, it simply doesn't work, and then you'll think your rocket blows up and the satellites don't work and the cars break. So you either, if you make technology, you either have a rigorous, you have to, in order to make technology work, you must have extremely rigorous pursuit of the truth, because otherwise reality will bite you on the ass big time. Yeah, so, all right.
Hi, Elon. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. My name is Justin Henson, also Lancaster County native. My generation is inheriting a housing shortage, and we're statistically less likely to take blue-collar jobs. Obviously, declining birth rates have been discussed. There's not going to be as many people to even fill blue-collar jobs. What do you think the solution is to the current housing crisis that we're having in this country in terms of pricing? It seems like my generation is getting priced out of homes, but also balancing the equity that people who currently own their homes have, and obviously not wanting to destroy that as well. What do you see there to be a solution to that problem?
Well, I mean, the risk of being repetitive, I think regulation is strangling progress. I mean, there's so many regulations. You can't even, like, modify your kitchen or, add something to your house without getting a zillion permits. So if we reduce regulation, you reduce the cost of new houses. So yeah, I mean, it's if I mean, I know there's like many small business owners and builders in this audience and who are listening, and anyone who has tried to build things, whether it's, you know, build a house or do anything, build a business, you realize just how much of a government burden there is. It's massive. And there's a state burden as well as a federal burden, but we can at least do something about the federal burden, and then, you know, that's, you know, at least we don't have to have like 400 and however many agencies there are. This is so crazy. You know, I'd like to know if I bet there's not a single member of Congress that can name 200 agencies. I'd be surprised. So how many agencies do we need? 99? That sounds like a lot. That sounds plenty to cover the bases. How many bases do we need to cover anyway? 99 bases sounds like a lot. So anyway, I think we could just get the government off people's backs would be a big improvement in quality of life and cost of housing and everything else. Yes.
Elon, what's going on, big dog?
Hey, how's it going?
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Nathan. I'm from Colombia. Anyways, so I was going to ask, how does it feel to be the richest man in the world? And also, can I get a picture with you real quick?
Well, we're on TV right now. So I think actually we're both live streaming right now. I think probably to millions of people, actually. So, yeah. So millions of people, I think millions of people will actually see us. We're now on screen for millions of people. In terms of how does it feel? I mean, it's kind of a strange thing because I guess, like, I'm still very much like a technologist who, like, you know, I just work a lot, you know, and then my recreational activity is hanging out with friends and family and playing video games, which is, yeah, exactly. I play Diablo or other video games. So, you know, it's like I don't have like any yachts or holiday homes or anything. So I guess if I was to maybe live a more hedonistic life and you know, had like yachts and islands or something like that, then it would make more, I don't know, maybe that would be more, I don't know, but that's not my idea of fun though, because I'm like, you know, if I go and sit on the beach, then I'm like, this is boring. Now what am I supposed to do now, you know? So I just like building things, and I like being productive and doing useful things and making cool products. And that's it, pretty much. I mean, I also do like hanging out with friends and family and stuff, but, you know, I'm not like saying, how can I sort of build a bigger yacht or anything like that. I don't have a boat or anything like that. So, of course, I still love it. Yeah, you're right. I do have boats. What are you talking for? Yes, there's a boat. SpaceX has these ships that are for the rocket lands on, you know? So I guess technically I do own boats. Yeah. So I stand corrected. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe I should like go sort of sailing around in one of them or something. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Hi, Elon. My name is Bruce. I'm a voter here in Pennsylvania, and it is an honor to meet you. You've been a very strong inspiration for me and my family and all my friends, so God bless you for that.
Thank you.
I have a question right now about Latin America.
Sure.
You've obviously met President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador, who has done an incredible job.
He really has. He's a very smart guy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Like it's like we had a long conversation about many subjects. I think, yeah, he's a really sharp guy.
Absolutely. So following on that, what would you advocate for in a second Trump administration to incentivize states like Mexico, Ecuador, and others into strengthening their policies on policing and economic opportunities to stem the tide of illegal migration to the U.S. southern border? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's prosperity in those countries, then I think there would obviously be less of a forcing function for illegal migration. It's pretty tough, you know. I mean, and there's some lessons to be learned there. Like when Chavez came to power in Venezuela, one of the first things he did was take the guns away from people. So he basically banned private gun ownership under the guise of, you know, safety. And then Maduro, when he had the election recently, he lost by a landslide and just ignored the election. And then people protested and they got shot. They couldn't defend themselves. That's why you need the Second Amendment. It's a critical thing. So I think it's worth looking at U.S. policies and saying, you know, which of these policies are actually helping other countries? And, you know, like we send a lot of money to various countries, but I'm like, does it do any good? I don't know. I think we should just do a thorough review of like, you know, do our actions actually help these countries? And why are we sending them our money again? and do the American people, like, if we're sending people's tax money to other countries, does it actually make sense? Like, is it doing good? Can it be defended to the American public or not? And if it can't, then I think we should probably stop sending money or send less. And then we should, like, if we are, we should try not to interfere with other countries' activities, I think, generally. Yeah, yeah. You know, we're just, it's like, we tend to get in other countries' business a bit too much, I think. So I'm more of a fan of the sort of Monroe Doctrine of, like, let other countries do their thing, and we'll just be, you know, we'll be cool here, you know, yeah. So.
Hey, Elon, my name is Cole, and this is my friend Jace from PA.
Hi.
We are both 11, and our question is, what impact will happen to SpaceX, Tesla, Starlink, and X if Kamala goes back into office?
Well, they're probably going to come for me big time. I mean, I might be public enemy number 2 or 3, something like that, from their standpoint. Pretty high on the list. So, yeah, I think it's going to be rough. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, man, I think we just got to make sure Trump wins. So, one way or another, it's just got to happen. You know, it's essential. Like I said, I really think, you know, I've not been politically active before, so it's not like, you know, I don't want to be in politics. I like to be in technology and, like, build products, you know, and manufacture things. So it's just that I really feel like this time we're at a crossroads that was probably irreversible if Trump doesn't win. So, you know, so to people out there, I'd say, you know, wear the MAGA hat and put the Trump Vance signs on the lawn, you know, and even if people give you a hard time, just keep at it. All right. Yeah.
Hey, Elon. My name's Alex Gann from York, Pennsylvania, across the river. And all right, I wanted to just shout out and thank the Tesla FSD team. Many don't realize that for people ages 5 to 29, the #1 cause of death is car accidents.
Yeah.
And yet today, my Tesla drove me for 4 hours out to a Tesla shop out in Devon, Pennsylvania. I didn't touch the wheel once. It took me from driveway to parking lot. And then after trading in and transferring FSD, today my new Model 3 drove me here to Lancaster.
That's cool.
From driveway to parallel park on the street.
That's
Again,
great.
I don't think people realize that the cars are there.
Most people don't realize that the Teslas are capable of that because, yeah, I mean, the Cybertruck obviously looks unusual,
right.
but the other Tesla cars, like the Model 3 and Y and the S and X, I think they look great, but they look somewhat conventional. They're like good looking, but they're not like radically different on the outside. So it's kind of like if, let's say you've got a magic cat that can actually sing and dance and talk, but it's just sitting on the couch and it looks like a cat, but it's actually Puss in Boots, you know, and it's like a swashbuckling talking cat that you know. But that's what Teslas are. They look like a normal car, but they're not. They're like an intelligent car that can drive anywhere, pretty much. Yeah. So this is why I like to see a talking cat. And it was like, but unless cat talks, people think it's a cat, you know.
So I just wanted to say, to make that aware about the national safety thing and actually a global, this is an actual superhuman good. Obviously, autonomy is going to have
it's a big deal. Yeah.
Economic benefits, but I just wanted to drive home and thank you and just make others aware. Try it out because
it's awesome.
It's around the corner, and I don't think people realize it's around.
It's like, do you want a dancing, talking cat? I'm like, sure, that sounds great. Yeah, but that's a good point. There's about 1 million people die every year in the world from car accidents, and that number could be 90% lower, I think. Yeah, we should advertise, I suppose. We do advertise a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I guess sure. I do get asked about advertising a lot. All right. I think probably we'll just do a few more questions and then call it a night, but please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I just had a quick question about liquid fluoride thorium reactors or any kind of molten salt reactors.
Okay.
And if you were interested in perhaps pursuing that technology because they're restarting 3 Mile Island soon, Microsoft is, for training AI, so it could be a potential solution for the power crisis in this country.
I do think nuclear power is underrated, and people, the actual risk of nuclear power is very low. So, in fact, it's possible with modern designs to make a reactor that simply cannot melt down no matter what you do, even if you went in there with like explosives and a flamethrower. You still couldn't make it melt down. So you can make nuclear super safe, and I think we should have more nuclear power. Yeah. But like I said, the actual long-term thing is that giant fusion reactor in the sky called the sun. You can't. That is so overwhelmingly the biggest source of energy that everything else is small by comparison. You know, fission is good, and I'm actually not against fossil fuels or oil and gas. I think that's fine for now. But overwhelming, if you just do the math, it's pretty straightforward. You know, the sun is converting over 4 million tons of mass to energy every second. It's like 1001, bam, that was 4 million tons of mass to energy. That is a staggering amount. So that's when you try to get to sort of Kardashev scale stuff, it's really all about the sun. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Musk. It's an honor to be before you. You are like the real-life Tony Stark, so that's pretty cool.
I should make a flying suit armor.
Yeah. So my question is, since you bought Twitter and transformed it into X, much has changed on the platform, like little censorship. Social media plays an integral role in American society. Do you have any more plans for X to expand its use and influence? If so, what are they? Also, do you have future plans on buying other large platforms like YouTube?
Well, it's not possible to buy. YouTube is controlled by, I guess they call it Alphabet these days, Google, essentially. And then Alphabet, there's super voting stock of Alphabet, so it's controlled by Larry Page, Sergey Brin, and Eric Schmidt. If 2 out of 3 control all of Alphabet, which is Google, YouTube, a bunch of other things. So, and then Mark Zuckerberg controls Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So now I think the fact that the X platform is a free speech platform has caused the others to move more in that direction, because then they're like, it's like, well, they're not all. Everyone's just not singing the same tune, and people can find out the truth on the X platform. Yeah. It actually forces them, yeah. So you only need one platform to step out of line and stop censoring, and then all the others will have censored much less. So the influence is much greater than just what we do on the X platform, because it drives the rest of the systems to also do less censorship. And the rule is simple for X, is we want to follow the law of the land. And if the people want different laws, they should pass different laws. But otherwise, we will not put our thumb on the scale. We will simply obey the will of the people. So I'll just do a couple more questions and then call it a night.
Good evening, Elon. My name is Claire Malfaro. I'm a mental health professional in Berks County, which is a neighboring county. I do live here in Lancaster. Often when I diagnose children with Asperger's syndrome, I want you to know that I tell families about you.
Okay.
Because it's a difficult diagnosis for families to receive sometimes. And when they recognize that there are successful individuals who are diagnosed, it gives them hope. I'm curious to know if you're willing and if you are currently speaking in advocacy for neurodivergent people, because if you look at the statistics in the United States, unemployment and underemployment, even in gifted individuals who are college graduates, is very significant with people with Asperger's syndrome.
Well, I'd like to be helpful. I think there's perhaps having some sort of, neurodivergent element like that does result in an increased adherence to the truth, or try to understand the nature of reality, and perhaps to some degree also being willing to suffer criticism and not, simply want to fit in is important as well. So yeah. So yeah, yeah. So I'm not sure quite what to say, but is there anything that you think that, what would be helpful?
For example, in King of Prussia, we have an agency that's called the Neurodivergent Employment Network.
Okay.
There are businesses in Pennsylvania. Wawa is one of them, Aramark, and they're specifically working to employ people with autism. There are many companies that are unwilling at this point to even consider because they're afraid that it's going to cost a lot of money for them for accommodations, which is really not true. And the research tells us that individuals are much less likely to steal. They're very conscientious about their work, but there's ignorance. And as a result of that ignorance, and part of the reason, not just you, but other individuals who have successful lives who are able to say to these families, like, your children will grow up and have successful lives as we're able to better implement change and relieve some of the ignorance in this society. I feel like if you would speak up more, for example, and say, look at me and look at what I've been able to do. And, and again, you are an entrepreneur, so you have yourself to answer to. But when somebody has their boss to answer to and they start saying, nobody in this company is really working 40 hours a week, or begin to truth tell about things, they lose their jobs.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Not quite sure what to say. I do think that as we create robots, like the Optimus robot, this will help a lot of people who are nervous because they will have a friend that will be there, that is infinitely patient. And I have a son who's got a much more severe case of whatever I have. It's tough sledding, So it's hard to make friends, hard for him to make friends, and he doesn't quite know what to do, So, yeah, probably do. I mean, I don't get something, something, but so like I certainly see, a case in my older boys where it's like quite a serious situation. And I just would love to figure out how you can live a happy life, and it's not an easy thing to figure out. But I think if there is a humanoid robot like Optimus that can be like your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO, then they would have a friend and someone who could kind of help them through life. I think that would be a good thing. All right. So I'll call this the last question, so thank you.
My name is Josh. I'm from here in Lancaster, and FSD 12.5 actually does navigate around the Amish buggies now, so thank you for that.
All right.
It's part of the training data. My question is, Elon, as someone deeply committed to uncovering truth, could you share the methods you rely on to identify objective truth, in addition to the crowdsourced community notes on X? In other words, can you describe your preferred epistemological framework and perhaps hint at how these philosophical underpinnings will continue to enable AI, XAI, as well as inform policy for our country?
Yeah, I mean, so I really would recommend people study physics, honestly. If you're trying to understand how the physical world works, that's what physics is. Physics is simply an attempt to understand the rules that govern reality. And what rules are good predictors of the future and what rules are not. So, it's, and I try to learn as much as possible and then evaluate what I've learned against what I believe to be the most fundamental truths of reality, and then change my conclusions based on new data. It's like, as I learn something new, it's just like, I try to change my mind if there is a reason to change my mind. It's like, whereas I think there's a kind of a natural instinct to want to be set, for people to want to be set in their ways and to be convinced that they're right. Whereas, I think we should actually just strive to be less wrong. Be less wrong. Yeah, exactly. So I think that is sort of how things operate in physics. Like, you strive to be less wrong. Yeah, it's not the most, gung-ho sort of slogan, be less wrong, It's like, if you want to be less wrong, then that's a good operating principle, is, seek the truth and let the conclusions lead where the data, takes you, Like this is like so it's very important to operate on this principle if you're building electric cars or space internet or rockets, because if you don't, if there's not a rigorous understanding of how reality works, the rockets blow up and the cars don't work and FSD wouldn't be able to navigate. Full self-driving wouldn't work. So the problem is that that's not like an easy answer. I think just in general, again, it's not the most, be less wrong it's not like this kind of it doesn't quite roll off the tongue quite. It's not like but if you want to be less wrong, you should aspire to be less wrong. It's like anyway. So thank you everyone for coming and vote for Trump, and it's incredibly important. And get everyone else to vote. And remember what I said at the beginning, which is that there are actually 40,000 ballots that people have that have actually not been mailed in or not been submitted. And people can go in person on Monday and Tuesday and vote. And please do, and please encourage everyone to do the same.